This is episode 42 of In Touch with Terri, a podcast for aesthetics professionals. This episode is titled 5 Steps to Never Missing a Lead.
On today's episode with In Touch with Terri, we are going to be talking about something that is critical to the success and to the growth of your practice, and that is effective lead management. We're going to cover the 5 most important things that you can do, and we're going to dive deep into each one. So thanks for joining us. Let's go. Welcome to In Touch with Terri, our power-packed podcast for the medical aesthetic industry that brings you expertise, authenticity, more importantly, solutions that have proven to increase efficiency, profitability, attract, convert, and retain more patients, and feature some of the top industry experts. Hi, I'm Terri Ross, former Fortune 500 executive, international speaker, founder, and co-CEO of Apex Platform and Terri Ross Consulting. Hello, tribe. How are you? I am super jazzed to always be here with you, kind of by myself, right? But always bringing you pearls and the top tips and tricks and slang and stats for some of the areas that I think are so vital to the success of your business. And I recently did a blog article, and it was really about never missing a lead, leads and the importance of capturing them, following up with them. And at the end of the day, what is our end goal? And that is to convert them. So on today's episode, I really want to dive into it a little deeper for something that I think practices often overlook, and that is the importance of leads. You guys, and leads are hot. That means that a person was interested to pick up the phone or do a web lead and contact your practice. And what I often find is there's perhaps not a dedicated person. The timeliness is far too long. And then these leads are looking to go someplace else. And so let's dig a little bit deeper. I'm going to share with you some factual statistics about what the industry faces. More importantly, give you solutions in terms of how to overcome them. You know, when I work with practices or my entire team, it's often a question we get asked all of the time. And that is, where do I spend my marketing dollars? How much should I put in PPC? What about social media or other paid advertising, when we don't really just kind of take a step back and look in our internal database, which is your practice management system, to say what leads, what prospects have come into the practice in a specified time period, and were they actually converted? Because we're going to talk a lot about nurturing leads. And, we often look at what is someone's marketing budget. Well, it ideally should be about 10% of your revenue, 20% if you are a new business. But the leads, you guys, are going to be absolutely worthless if they are not qualified, right? Is that candidate, is that prospect the ideal avatar patient for you? Can they afford it? Is it the kind of client that you want? And then if they come into the practice and don't decide to book, are you nurturing them? What is the frequency of that? And then how often are you contacting them? And then lastly, are you tracking? Are you measuring the statistics of what happened with that patient? And then why or why not? And then the last thing, and there's a blog on my website, I believe it's called like the cherry on top, the fortune and the follow-up. And the follow-up is key. So before we dive in, I'm just going to share with you some statistics that should knock you off your seat. But I really want you to just take a pause for a second when you are thinking about your practice, perhaps identifying that this is an area of opportunity for you, but more importantly, how you can overcome them. Because you guys, leads, we look at them hot and cold, are cash cow. So 35 to 50% of sales go to the person, the practice, the vendor, the company that responds first. Okay, I'm going to say that 35 to 50%. That is a high percentage of patients. So we know, okay, that if you have a dedicated person that's able to handle the leads, I'm not suggesting go hire somebody to do this, but somebody who's at your front desk or your patient care coordinator, whoever is capable and trained and qualified to do it. We know that the timeliness is vital. Those who attempted to reach the leads within 1 hour were nearly 7 times more likely to book the appointment. You guys, that is a lot. Okay, so I'm going to share with you that I really think leads should be followed up with within 5 minutes. But we know that every hour that goes by, you're losing 10% of the people. So again, if you follow up with them within 1 hour, they are 7 times more likely to book. And then following up with web leads, as I just mentioned, within 5 minutes, increases that 2 times. So they're 9 to 10 times more likely. So what is that telling us? That number one, timeliness, rapid response is pretty critical when we are trying to convert leads. So speed is king or queen when we're, looking at our business and where we're spending those marketing dollars. More importantly, how we're going to convert those patients. And then when we talk about phone calls, and obviously you guys know Apex platform, we developed it, we launched it in March. We just so proudly closed our round and announced our advisory board. But I'm sharing these with you because the tools, the training, the analytics, and the resources that are within the Apex platform all are directly correlated with the solution, right? With the training, whether that's on how to handle a web lead, what does your expert phone call look like? How do I ask the right questions? How do I overcome objections? How do I do a treatment plan? So all of these things are within the Apex platform. But today, if we're focusing on leads, 75% of people that are searching for something online, right? They actually want to be called. They want to be called or contacted between 2 to 6 times. So I know sometimes, because I hear it all the time, Terri, I don't want to bug somebody or I'm annoying them. You guys, they want to be bugged, because if I'm interested in a procedure or a product, I'm calling you and I'm also calling several other places. So back to the timeliness, and then I need you to contact me. Maybe I leave a voicemail. The stats are so high for voicemails that are often never even returned. And then when we think about, how often do we follow up? 92% of most salespeople or practices almost stop after the second call. Like they just don't make any effort. So again, what is that telling us? It's telling us that if I am a patient, I was enticed, I was driven, I was motivated, I was leaning into your website or a video I saw or your social media enough that prompted me to pick up the phone and call your team or fill out that web contact form. But what happens that I often find is that there's no training. There's no training. There's no accountability. So these leads are unfortunately being not followed up with at all or not converted. And we just can't afford moving forward to have a lack of training and knowledge when we know that these patients want to come into your practice. They might want to pay for a procedure. So your return on investment is significant. The takeaway here is that, a lot of patients even call the practice. And when we're looking at voicemails, sometimes, again, those patients are never even returned. And so high growth organizations literally show, okay, I say this in my sales training, but it's crazy the amount. High growth organizations show that patients, prospects, people, that if we're in the mood or, in this buying mentality, the average touch point is about 36 times. It used to be 16. So now what is that saying? Okay, so then I call the practice. I hope you guys are gathering enough information, right, to put me in your practice management system. That's something that is very vital, right? What I want you to do is say, I'm sorry, who am I speaking to? May I get your name and number in case we get disconnected, so that you have the contact information to put in your practice management system. That is first and foremost. Then you move to the referral source. And then if I'm a web lead, what's amazing, and I always ask this, what do people think is most important, a web lead or a phone lead? And most everyone says phone. And of course, that personal connection is so critical. But candidly, it's the web lead. And it's because it can come in at any time of the day or night. And you're gathering first name, last name, their reason for contacting you, and their email. And we don't tend to get that on the phone. So now you put them in your practice management system. And now it's called reach and frequency. This is sales 101, that you need to reach out to me 36 times, perhaps, before I'm ready to make a decision. So we want to go back and take a look at, are you guys doing blogs? Are you doing newsletters? Are you doing video content? Are you doing enough outreach to your patients that they understand your brand voice and your brand equity? That is really, really critical. And when we dive a little bit deeper into the sales training, I think we've come up with a method to the madness that really works. And I'll ask people, what is your method today? What is your process today? And they're like, well, I called once or twice, or, I left a message or I sent a text. And it's this really random, right? Nothing consistent. And I really, if we go back to that 36 touch points, the process that I want you to follow is that you're putting that patient in your practice management software, right? You're going to pick up the phone, you're going to call me because we want to make that personal connection. So again, if we're talking about these 5 things to help you gather more leads and convert more leads, we said number 1 was your rapid, timely response. Again, number 2 is convenience. Because we can do that web lead. And so we might want to look at, are we having somebody answer these leads with extended hours, right? Are you open early, perhaps 7 a.m.? What about staying late a couple of days of the week, having somebody respond? So we know that timeliness within 5 minutes, but within an hour is really critical. And then that personalization, right? That you're using my name, that if I wrote you in a web lead and I mentioned that I have been, I had a baby and I'm overweight, or perhaps I had acne, I want you to acknowledge that. Use my name. We all like to feel that personal connection and that bond. So use my name. Please state your name and your title and who you're with to build that relationship. And then really acknowledge, thank you, Terri, so much for writing in about your acne. I really appreciate that. And I can completely understand, how that's been bothersome to you. And then you go into your value proposition and what they can expect when they come to your practice. So personalization is the third most important thing. And then when we look at consistency, again, we look at that most people are only contacted an average of 1 to 3 times. And that was a study done by Harvard Business Review. So you guys, this is only telling us that we need work, we need help, we need work, we need training. And, correlating it back to Apex platform and why we designed it and developed it is that our whole philosophy as a company is really to impact practices and lives and provide the tools and the resources and the education to make executive decisions that will grow your practice exponentially, but more importantly, give your team the training, the skills and the knowledge and the ability to learn how to do it. I often say there's no MBA of aesthetics. There's no school that anybody can go to. And that is, again, why Apex Platform was really designed to provide you with the resources and the tools to learn how to do it. So the 4th was consistency. And then the 5th is measuring. We often say you can't track what you don't measure. So your reporting and your ability to put those patients in the database, run a report, right? Who came in that month? Who came in the past 6 months? If they got a consultation, did they convert? Conversions should be over 70%. If they didn't, why not? Was it a price thing? Was it something about your practice? Was it a lack of timeliness, or these 5 things that we just covered? Was there a gap in your practice that that you can work on to overcome this problem? Because at the end of the day, your patients are ultimately what make your business, right? If there's no patients coming in the door, you have no practice. And so how do we improve that process so that we're spending less money in marketing and we're putting more money into nurturing the leads that we have and having a fundamental system and a process in place where you are calling them on day 1. You're putting them in the software system. You're calling them, you're emailing them, you're texting them on the 3rd day. You're doing it on the 7th day. You guys, that's the plan I want you to follow. You're going to do it on the 1st day, the 3rd day, the 7th day. You're going to pick up the phone, try to make a connection with me in that immediacy, in that 5 minutes to 60 minutes. You're going to email me. You're going to text me. You're going to put me in the software system. And then I hope that you all have somebody who's a fantastic copywriter, ghostwriter, that you're putting out very good educational blogs or newsletters. Google looks at that, by the way, as authentic content. So it'll help with your rankings because you need to touch me 36 times. I need to see your brand. I need to feel your voice. I need to see the logo. I need to understand what your value proposition is. I'm always talking about the why. Why are you different? Why would anybody come to your practice? And you have to be able to articulate that in that when you're trying to convert that web lead. So this is something I am extremely passionate about because I often, again, see that it's just an area that is often overlooked. And in one of the courses in Apex, which is obviously my staple sales training program, that I wrote this 2 years ago when I was the managing partner at Lasky. I did that for 5 years and I saw the mistakes. So I'm really coming at it to you, for you, from a tactical, practical, tangible space that I was in Beverly Hills, a highly competitive market, feeling like, how am I going to compete where you can throw a stone and on every corner, everybody's doing something the same? I don't want to be the same. I don't want you guys to be the same. Okay. We're not in it to look what our neighbor's doing. We have to be confident and have the competence, right? So that we can hold our teams accountable. More importantly, be that coach, be that boss, be that provider that is giving your team the ability, but that more importantly, you're really analyzing your business and you're saying, hey, status quo is not cool. Mediocrity is not okay. None of you went to medical school, or you're an NP or a PA or an RN or an MA or whatever it is that you do to be mediocre. Because in this medical aesthetic space, it's competitive, it's a commodity, it's cash-based. These patients have choices, and I want to choose you. So I hope that you found this podcast super, super, super valuable. I wrote a blog on this and I really thought it was super important to just come at you with some stats and some facts, because honestly, you guys, your feedback to me and for me is always so motivating for me. And when I did that, stats that slay in the aesthetic space, I got so much positive feedback. I really thought it was critical to come to you with these 5 facts that will help you convert leads. And again, that is rapid response. It's timeliness, it's convenience, it's again, extended hours. It's the personalization, making sure you're using names, gathering information, ability to engage, the consistency. Again, we can't call once, we can't text once and then stop and be like, well, I don't know what happened, right? You just heard me with the stats. People want to be contacted up to 36 times. And then you're measuring your data. Okay. This is going to be the proof of effective lead management. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed it. I always enjoy my tribe, being with you guys, providing valuable information. You make me love what I do every single day. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. If you found this valuable, I would love, love, love for you to please comment, share it with your friends, follow me on all my social spaces, my Instagram, Terri Ross Consulting. And if you are interested to learn how the Apex platform can help you in your practice, like it has so many others, please visit apexplatform.com. My team would love to give you a demo, and I would always love to hear from you. You can always chime in on our private Facebook group, which is the Aesthetic Insight. So until next time, love you guys always, and I will talk to you soon. Ciao.
Thanks for listening to In Touch with Terri. For more information regarding Apex, the aesthetic game changer, visit apexplatform.com. That's apexplatform.com. We'll include links to everything in the episode notes, including links to all of the ways that you can follow Terri Ross Consulting on all social media platforms. Please don't forget to subscribe to the podcast from whichever platform you might be listening from. Thanks again for listening, and we look forward to you joining us on the next episode of In Touch with Terri.